Okay, let's see if I'm on. Guys, what a die. What a die. I have to find you. You're like, we already know. We already know. I'm here. Oh my God. You guys, I can't believe it. Like sometimes I expect we're not going to be on and that you're going to be waiting, and it freaks me out terribly. But you guys, more than one lucky thing happened to me today. Man, oh man, when I tell you this one, it's a humdinger. Like, considering my daughter is dead, I don't really feel like that lucky of a person. Because I used to think, I used to say, this was a stupid thing to say apparently because I was, taunting the universe to go ahead and try me. But I was like, I know that my life has been, happy if, I died before all my children. Anyhow, so one bad thing did happen. Oh, you guys, my hips. Because it's got to be a balance, right? One good thing, one bad thing. But anyway, so I noticed yesterday Lacey was like, I looked at her in her eyes. Lacey's like the first working dog I ever had, the first sheepdog I ever had. That was like, she's a collie, right, border collie, and she's very well trained, an amazing dog. She does things that that are very unusual for a border collie. One of them is that because she was her owner previous to me was and is a trainer, a border collie trainer for trials. She trained Lacey to do trialing, but then also made her do farm work because she was the best at it. And so one of the things they do is to shed. I'm not a trialer, so I'm just letting you know straight up. All I do is use them to work. But the command in here, and then you go in here towards whatever you want her to to take. If I say in here to a lamb, and then she sees it, and then I just keep saying in here, and I point to that. She knows, and she T-bones it and rolls the lamb so that I can grab it. And it's really actually kind of important because if the whole flock comes for me to get one lamb, it's very likely it can get trampled. So being able to just pick off one and have her roll it so that I can grab it, rather than, having the whole flock come towards me, and then it's actually quite dangerous because I think in pretty much every pen where there's babies, there's probably 60 or sheep or more, maybe, yeah, something like that. And so the babies can't get. And actually, last year it happened, and I brought the whole flock in, and one of the ewes ran over her baby and broke its leg. So, it's just sort of a cool thing that she can do. And then the other thing that she'll do is if she doesn't T-bone it, so what she'll do is she'll hit it with her nose, and it rolls it. It takes it off its feet. If she can't get it to go off its feet that way, she grabs hold of its shoulder and drags it and lets it go. And she's never broken the skin. She just grabs hold and pulls, and then lets it go so that it's off its feet long enough for me to hopefully grab it. I'm not as surprised as I used to be, but anyhow, so as I was looking at her, I was like, oh my God, I think my dog's blind. I noticed her eyes, and I was like, maybe she's getting cataracts. Then today, I was hysterical today. I was crying so hard. I was crying, and you guys, I'm not like that over animals. I've had so much death in my life. With things that I love, that I just things die, and I'm just like, well, that's just part of it. I was absolutely hysterical today because I took her out, and one of the things I noticed lately is I've been saying she doesn't really want to, I'll bring her in the pen and she just is terrible, she sucks, and now I kind of understand why. I think her eyesight's been kind of going, but it wasn't really obvious. And I brought her in but then I would still say, good girl, because, I just figured she's old, and, she's 10. She's not that old, right? So today I brought her, because I had weaned a bunch of babies, and and I wanted to give them this Cock City stat. So I just brought her in. She couldn't even make it in the gate. She ran into the fence, and then she's looking at me, and she's just bumping into everything. From yesterday to today, it's way worse. I was sure she had brain cancer. I was just and I'm not saying that she doesn't. I was just hysterical because this dog, I love this dog. I love this dog. And the other thing is I need this dog. I need this dog because Nesta can't do it by herself. It's really hard, especially when you have all these babies because the babies, the mothers know when the dog comes around, when the dog flanks, the mothers know they better come in towards me, that's safety, but the babies don't know. So, and they're not allowed, the sheepdogs aren't allowed to hit the babies, to bite the babies. So the babies will start wandering, they're running away, right? and then the mothers are being held here. So then what happens is the mothers go after them, and then when there's like 40 or 50 babies in there, the mothers keep trying to shoot out, and it's really difficult. For Nesta, it's a little bit above her pay scale. And so she's just not as good as my other dogs, but my other dogs suck because they're old now. I mean, I just had to buy a tractor this week. So, that's like $600 a month that I'm going to have to pay. And then there's just no way that I can buy a sheepdog. And then the hay prices, you guys know. I mean, it's like really. So knowing, and I was trying to do those babies today, and it was taking me forever because I couldn't get those lambs, I couldn't keep the lambs in a bundle. I need to keep them in a bunch, like against in a corner. And they just kept, it was like a nightmare. It was like seriously a nightmare. And then to watch my dog, it was terribly sad. It was really devastating, especially when, like I was doing Airbnb experiences last year in September, and people can work this dog. Like a lot of collies won't work for somebody else. They only work for their owner, really, or it's like a trainer, someone that they know knows. Because like people that don't know, they'll tell them the wrong command. They'll tell them a command to go wrong the way that the dog knows is not efficient for catching the prey, right? And the dog, will just like be like, this person's an idiot, and just start doing their own thing, like working the sheep themselves, and then bringing them, like if the handler's on the right side of the paddock and I'm on the left side, they'll just ignore like the person's not even there and bring the sheep over to me. If I'm standing anywhere where they can see me, they'll bring them as close to me as they can possibly can. Lacey doesn't do that. She if they tell her the wrong command, she'll do the wrong command. She'll just listen. She just wants to please. She's like, okay, you want it wrong, I'll give it to you wrong. So like she's just a super, and that's like a really great experience for people, because that's going to have to be part of my income to make up for, the financial situation that we're in, which continues to get worse based on the fact that, but I did sell the tractor today, the old tractor, which my neighbor, who I told you has like, I'm not kidding, it's like 40 or 50, it's ridiculous how many tractors he has, and he was like, you guys will be lucky to get, and I can't remember what he said. He said like $5,000 for it, lucky, because and we ended up getting $6,500 for it, which without a clutch, you guys. The clutch is gone, which is, a $3,500, $4,000 part, but the guy just so happens to have bought it. So I mean, he builds stock cars. So I think he's going to probably take this is not an original thought. Sean said he's probably going to take the clutch out and try and rebuild it himself, rebuild the clutch, and then, because if that's what he does, it'll be really, for him, they've got all the equipment and all the things to, pull the tractor apart. But even my neighbor doesn't do his own clutches. Guys are like, God, this is so boring. Could you just move on to something else? For God's sake, this is agonizing. We'd rather have you drunk like last week. I know. Well, you should have caught me yesterday, because I was feeling no pain. A little bit of a hangover this morning. Because my husband had the night off. So then we just enjoy each other. Sometimes I'm just like, I just want to stare at you. And then I find myself falling asleep, and the next morning I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to get frisky, but then I was staring at you, and then I fell asleep because it wasn't that exciting. Sorry. Anyway, okay. Hello, everybody. Let's see. I'm naked. Mustafa, please. And unless you've got some serious stuff in your package, we're not interested. I'm spoiled by my husband. Okay, Diana, hello. Allison and Mustafa, clap, clap. Ellie Mae and Darlene, Mary Dillon, Teresa Wiedemeyer, and Shannon Graber. Oh, and Ms. Dahlia, and I bid you a good evening, Ms. Dahlia. Mary Wildflower and Kelly Sutton and Ms. Shelley. She's closing the salon tonight, so she can't stay. That sucks. Hate that. Anyway. Okay, Sutton Kelly and Samantha Vincent and Ellie Mae. Let's see. Natalie, have you checked her for... That's what my friend... So that's why I got unhysterical. So I was completely hysterical because I was sure she had brain cancer. I called my friend who's the vet and left her... it's the kind of message you always want to get from a friend, where they're hysterical. I couldn't even hardly talk because I was just... It's really... I'm really shocked.
Coder looks like it's not on live, so.
Hang on. I'm going to try it again. Hello. Not. Oh. Okay. I could be back. Ugh. Refresh again. So annoying. I'm telling you. pisses me off. I don't even know where I was. Okay, you're back. I'm back. I'm back. Anyway, I want to tell you my story. I don't even know where I stopped. Ugh. Anyway, so if you, I'm just gonna like repeat myself. So if you don't know about the dogs, Lacey is like, doesn't make the sheep freak out, and so that's why she's so valuable to me. And because she just listens, and she's just an awesome dog, and I just wanted to have her DNA harvested. Her mother had several litters of pups, and all of them, she had like 3 only. Crazy, huh? 3 pups. Like, I know dogs that have had litters of like, 19, but her mom only had 2 girls ever. And Lacey had, well, it's not her mother's fault. It's the father's fault. But anyway, so Lacey was only one of 2 girls. And Jennifer loves, these are, it just breaks my heart, I'm telling you. And then I wanted to have her DNA harvested, but then I'm like, where do I get the $50,000 to actually have the dog, like, then cloned? You're like, please stop it. But seriously, just that she can T-bone lambs in itself, which oddly enough, there's somebody on YouTube, I saw it happen once. Somebody did a video of a dog doing that, of a collie doing that, and it was like it in Australia. And people like gave it so many thumbs down, and they thought it was cruel. And it's like, no, it's way more humane, believe me, than having them run over by the flock. Like, it's actually really humane. It's so funny what people think is humane and what is inhumane, right? When they're not. And I call that lack of empathy, actually. I say to people all the time, the ones that are thinking things like we should let all of our livestock go, and they shouldn't be in pens, and they shouldn't be like they would much rather be out, in a field somewhere, and let's just release them all and take their scrapey tags off. And I tell them that is such lack of empathy, because you're thinking like a predator. Of course you can be free, but these are, domesticated animals that like rely on us to shear them and take care of them. They can't, there's no possible way they could live on their own. There's just no way. Or I think about that with the chickens, like anybody who owns chickens that aren't game birds. Chickens can't fly. Yes, they have wings and they can get lift, but a chicken like a Rhode Island Red, they can only get so much lift, and then they're just not very good flyers, because that's not what you backyard chicken people are looking for in a bird, right? And typically they are heavier. They're just built differently. Unlike, as most people know that have Cornish crosses or some meat bird, they can't fly at all. And as a matter of fact, you do have to slaughter them, or they usually will die of an impacted crop or something. They just grow too fast. They get deformed, and it's just not good. But we're past that. We're past the point of like letting livestock go and free ranging. The only reason livestock would want a free range is not because they want to be free. It's because they want food. But if they're in a small area together, they're happy. That's what they want. It's safe. It's comfy. I turned my lambs out. Like 4 days ago, weaning them, and they are glued to exactly where I left them. They've got this whole like acre of hay that's amazingly delicious. I'm sure of it, because I can see all of the grain heads on it, right? And they don't want to go anywhere near it. I actually have to keep feeding them because they won't leave. They're afraid. They just stick right by the gate, right where I put them in, and they're hoping I'm going to open it and let them out so that they can run back to where they're used to. Okay, I was talking about the vet. I don't know, Miss Dahlia, thank you. I have no idea, because I have no idea where exactly I dropped you guys. I'm sorry. And then could you imagine a cow trying to navigate around? I'm telling you guys, it's so hard. It is lack of empathy, because empathy by definition is you put yourself in the other person, right? Or we could use entity, thing here. So to do that, we would have to get rid of, it's very hard to get rid of the predatory nature of human beings. And the first thing, and you think of this, is so what I always want to do when somebody starts trying to tell me what my sheep are thinking, I want to say, okay, go catch one for me. Because if you know how they think, then you should be able to catch them. I actually want to do that, except most of them are paying me to stay here, and that probably wouldn't be very good for my feedback, so I keep my mouth shut. But I really want to say that. But I actually do say it in a hypothetical way when I'm talking to people who are very farming friendly. And I say exactly what I just said. I say, to the people that are, like, oh, it's sad because they don't have, a bunch of grass and a giant, thing of acreage in like Montana. And I'm like, yes, and they don't have bears either. I mean, really. I mean, basically, that's the way. And they don't have rain falling and they don't have snow. I mean, how lucky are they? My girlfriend, Jennifer, lost 35 lambs this year, which, just going to say, I mean, I lost a lot of lambs last year because I gave them a coccidiostat that said it was safe for pregnant ewes and does, and it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't for me. And I've lost, I mean, learning how to be a farmer there is a lot of loss of life. I mean, there really is. It's tremendous. I mean, people should love farmers because we have to go through so much. I'm not at all crying about this. I'm just saying that we go through so much loving them just like you guys love your dogs or your cat or whatever, your goldfish, your lizard, your snake. And then knowing that, you're responsible for the lives and that whenever there's a loss of life, I don't care what happens, somehow it's my fault. Just like Lacey, that's one of the reasons I was hysterical today. I was like, knew somehow it was my fault. And like, it's like as a parent, you feel responsible for everything that happens. But in like Bug's life, they say when you're the boss, everything's your fault. And that's exactly how it feels. And so but you still keep wanting to do it because it's this love of like, what is the love? Well, for me, it's a love of hard work and because I love animals tremendously. I do really love animals, which is so funny because I love animals so much that I'll miss my dinner to feed them first. But the people that come here that have never farmed in their life, that are saying that they're empathetic, have no concept of how a sheep thinks, but yet they'll tell me what they're thinking or how they feel. Or like the one that was freaked out that I docked a lamb's tail. Did she happen to, be here and I was working? I mean, it's a working farm. It says clearly right there, working farm. It doesn't say, it specifically says, this is not a pretend farm. This is a working farm, a real working farm. So, like it's not a gentleman's farm. I don't have other people come and, I mean, I work here, right? This is my job. So, and they have to be done because they're going to get maggots, right? So, and fly strike is no pretty thing. I'm just going to tell you, fly strike is really bad. And that's when you have maggots like on the lambs from not having their tail dock, or there's other reasons they can get fly strike. But for lambs, that's a big one. But anyway, it's just so interesting when these people seem so like they're genuine, when they're earnest, when they're very concerned. But it's like if you're really concerned, then you need to stop thinking like a human and then go do your research and then come back. And I remember being that person, by the way. I actually can think of a time when I was probably that person, but it would have been before I went to Cal Poly. So it would have been, before 1992, something like that, where I, but now I really realize that there's reason, or even if I see, like, let's say I see, a video of a big tractor putting a down cow in the bucket, but then the problem is that that's the only way you can move the cow. If the cow's down, it has to be moved. And there's the only way you're going to move it is with a forklift or a bucket. So a forklift has like, it's got like those, why am I having like forks? Hence the reason it's called a forklift. My God, I must be really blonde today. Actually, I thought I looked like the Bride of Frankenstein because my hair is getting white right here. And then I didn't make it as high as usual, but it does remind me of the Bride or Cruella de Vil, one or the other. Anyway, that was a sidebar. So anyway, I would feel the same way, but I would immediately revert to, well, they need to move the cow and there's no nice way to do it. There just isn't. A down cow, you're not moving dead weight at 1,200, 1,500 pounds. You're just not. So, and I'm not, there's just, I wish there was a nicer way to do it. There just isn't a nicer way. I mean, let's just say this. The sausage making of life in general is not pretty. Let's just talk about something that's not even animal related. Let's just talk about relationships. Like anybody who's been in a relationship and has lasted at all, whether it's a friendship or a marriage or whatever, that's the sausage making. Most of the world only sees the part where they think that you're happy or that you're great friends or whatever it is, not understanding that there's a component that a lot of people wouldn't understand that would be really ugly. And I think about that all the time, even like, and this is no dog in the fight, by the way, but even when we're talking about, like, if we're looking into a president's, life, like with even Clinton, I could have cared less what he did in his personal life because, JFK did it. I just don't care. I could really care less. I think you have to have a certain amount of narcissism to be in politics, because no one's ever going to be happy. People say horrible things about you. I don't have the fortitude to do that because I don't want people to be, berating me and saying really unkind things about me and digging up my past, because I'm just going to say for the record, I don't know many of us who don't have a past. I mean, I'm sorry, but I just don't. Mine, I will tell anybody because I don't, it's not necessary for me, thankfully, to make a living. Like, I don't have to have somebody do a debate and then say, oh, I don't know, whatever it is that I did. I'm sure there's plenty of things like you cheated on your, first boyfriend with his brother-in-law. Did I do that? Well, not my first boyfriend, but one of them I did. Well, he deserved it. That's all I can say. Okay, moving on. Okie dokie. So what happened over the brain cancer? Oh, okay, worry. Okay, the brain cancer worry. I think it's diabetes. I think it's diabetes because it came on so fast. I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. You guys, but I'm telling you, like the tears, like I was freaking hysterical. I think a lot of it wasn't over the, okay, honestly, it wasn't over the fact that I need her. It was over the fact that I watched this dog that I see as like, I thought she had years of life left in her. But, like not working because she is lazy now, right? But just, being my friend, like she has been. And you guys, she taught me how to work a dog. So when I used to rope the sheep. I have a lariat and I would rope them. And at the time I had like 80, I think 80 is what I had. And so whenever I would need one of them, I would just, literally, I would kind of like a horse works cattle. So I'd go in the middle and then I would walk, and they'd all, flock together. And then I would just have to pick off which one. And I literally would rope it with a lariat. And that, it's really hard on your hands because lariats are really stiff. Those of you who don't know what like lariats are like, they're not soft rope. They're really hard rope, right? And a 300-pound animal, running and hits the end of that rope, and it's really hard. It is really hard on your hands. It's just hard on your body in general. And so, and your shoulders and your lats, everything. So then I ended up realizing, because actually Martin Daly's wife said, if I didn't have working dogs, I wouldn't have sheep. And I was like, really? Like that really made a deep impression on me because, they have a lot of sheep. So, and so I want to say this is like 2013, 2012. And so anyway, I started looking into finding a working dog, and then there's a gal in Montana that's a friend of mine who actually uses she loves Belgian Shepherds, or and so she uses those, which those really aren't, for what I, if you're really going to have a large flock, it's a couple collies are really all you want, because they're custom made for this, right? It's like a bird dog, right, on birds. So but I didn't know any of the commands. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. And so I ended up, getting the name of this gal that happened to live close to me. And so when I bought, she told me that the dog was $4,500, and I had a heart attack because like, I didn't know if the dog would work for me. I didn't know if it would work at all. I didn't know I knew nothing about it. And then she wasn't very personable. Like she wasn't offering to teach me nothing. She wasn't offering to teach me anything. So I knew I was just going to be buying this dog outright, and then I was going to have this dog, and if it didn't work, it didn't work. And my sheep are really tough. And so anyway, and the reason I knew that is because a gal offered to help me who trials dogs and knows Jennifer really well, and brought her dog here, and the dog turns tail. And she brought in one of her other dogs, and the dog turned tail. Both of them turned tail. And so I was like, shit, no. I mean, what if I have to spend this money on a dog? Which if I had to borrow some from my friend Jenny, because I didn't have the money. And so anyway, I bought Lacey, and I downloaded off of the internet the commands, like come by, await to me, that'll do, come in, get out, look back, all of these, walk up, all these things I downloaded. And so when I went to pick up the dog, I was really, I had the cash, and as I start to hand it over to Jennifer, she says, oh, by the way, I hold the money for 30 days. And if the dog doesn't work out, I'll give you your money back, which she didn't tell me at the inception, which it would have made it a much easier decision, by the way, but she didn't say that. So anyway, and I got home and I had Lacey, and I also knew that dogs don't work for everybody. Like, a lot of times, because I don't know what I'm doing. And I brought Lacey in I have this like grass paddock that's like a quarter of an acre, and there were a bunch of goats in there. And I looked at this thing and I was just like, come by. And she listened and she went. And then I said, lay down, and she hit the dirt. And then I was like, away. And she was like, she totally went. counterclockwise, and I was like, wow. And then, I mean, she did everything. And so, and oh, you know, over time, after, you know, needing her and working her, then it just becomes second nature. Like you say, you end up knowing the commands. And that dog never has needed a tune-up since then. I mean, I've never had to have that dog tuned up ever. Like, she's totally stayed completely. You guys are like, we are so bored right now. We just are like, we're just leaving. You guys are going to drop off like flies. They're like, and then she was doing this ode to Lacey. No, but I'm telling you guys, it's like crazy. Like that you could, it really is unheard of. It is unheard of. Like, nobody gets a dog. That's not how people learn herding. It's just not. My dog taught me how to herd. She really did. Because at the time, too, because I'd been roping them, like, the way that I already knew the way they moved, you know, much like people who have cutting horses understand, you have to, you know, ruminants all move the same. So, like a giraffe, a deer, a cow, you know, sheep, they all move the same, and it's the same principles behind how to move them. And we're, you know, it's so against the way humans think. We think chase to catch, and then you'll never catch it. If you're going to chase it, catch it, it'll just keep going till it drops dead. And so Lacey just taught me so much. And so then what's funny is I didn't even realize how much she taught me until I went to Jennifer's. For, you know, we ended up becoming friends, and I would go over there and watch her trialers, be practicing with her, and I'd be seeing these people that owned sheep for their dogs, not dogs for their sheep, and they didn't know where to be, and Jennifer would be losing her shit because she gets really impatient, she gets irritated, right? Because she's like, you know, your other left, you know, she gets mad, she's like, well, why are you letting your dog do that? It's just running around in circles. I mean, she's just really getting irritated. But the funny thing is I could see all the mistakes they were making before they were making them, not because I know anything about trialing, but because I know how sheep move. And then my dog taught me how to work sheep. I mean, like, with a dog. It's just crazy. I mean, it really is. It's really an experience. And also, there's something about, even if you have a shitty childhood like I do, it's like, because my dad, I got a shotgun when I was 13. I had a license when I was 13 years old, and he gave me a 410 shotgun, and we used to go pheasant hunting and my dad raised hunting dogs. So just this working with dogs is something that it's very familiar to me. And there's something about that where you and this dog are working together that is really rewarding. I mean, they never argue. They never come to you hungover. They don't call in sick. I mean, they're like the best employees on the face of the planet, and you pay them in food. They don't even want to be pet. Like, I can actually tell you, Lacey, when she's working, she'll come out of the pen, and, you know, I can see people want to pet her when she comes out of the pen, and she doesn't want anything to do with them. She wants nothing to do with pet. There's no petting. There's petting later. Like, if she's not working, there's no sheep around, then she'll want you to pet her. But she's not interested in being pet. So the amount of times I've really pet Lacey is not that much. I mean, it's, you know, usually, you know, I'll be walking by and it's a good dog, but it's not a relationship. She works. That's her work is her work, and her fun is her work. And it's actually, somebody asked me, they were like, so what do you do for a hobby? And I was like, have sex with my husband. And they were like, well, I mean, like, they just started laughing. I said, no, but really, because, like, that's my only hobby, because my hobby would have been my work, but it's my work. Like, I would do this as a hobby, but it's not a hobby. It's how I make my living. So there's only one thing I do anymore, and you can't, none of the fiber arts, that's all how I make my living. That doesn't count, right? Oh, which is going to bring me to my knitting, you guys. Did you see online? I had to rip it all out because it was going to be too big. I'm telling you right now, frogging is the best thing you can do. Okay, subject change. You guys, thank God, hallelujah. Subject change. Yarnitarian, moving on. We're going to talk about this. So I'm starting, and it takes so long to get through these rows, you guys, with these tiny little needles. Anyhow, so I'm doing a 1x1 rib, twisted rib, and it goes all the way. The 1x1 rib comes all the way up to, like, right here in a V, and then the stockinette is like from here up, but from here down is all 1x1 rib, and it's very tight. And I don't have a super small waist for my build, so I definitely do not want it to be sagging at all. And so even though it looks really small when I'm looking at it, if I pull on it, I can feel it just feels kind of like it doesn't have the kind of spring that I really want it. I want a lot of spring. I want it to like really be tight around my waist, right? And so, and then of course, you know, like even Trisha would say, well, why don't you just decrease? And I was like, well, you can't. Because if you decrease, then you're going to mess up the 1x1 rib. You'll end up having two pearls together, two knit stitches together. So that's why they have you changing needles. That's why my needle size starts out with a 7, not mine, but the pattern calls for a size 7. Then you knit for 2 inches on the 7, and you switch to a 5, right? So I had to go from a 5 to a 3 to a 2 to get it, and then I'll change the needle sizes again. I could decrease if we were in the stockinette part of it, but we're not. So by the time I was like this far along, I looked at it, and there's 4 inches of relief. So it can stretch like 4 inches, and that means it's borderline baggy, like sagging on the sides. So so I hired my friend to come over here, Peggy Hagberg, and she's a knitting teacher, and I wanted her I really wanted her to problem solve with me on this thing, and she actually said something that I love. She said, you know what, Natalie, I tell all of my students, if you make a mistake or something, or you see something and you've knit, like let's say you've knit 4 or 5 inches, and you see this one little thing, and you're like, you know what, by the time I knit the rest of it, what's this one little mistake no one's even gonna see it. Like, who cares? But what you'll do is you'll knit like 6 more inches and realize, I still see that thing. It's like a beacon. It's like blaring. She's like, frog it. Just like get rid of it and just start over. No matter where you could be almost done. And if it's there and you can't fix it, you're going to have to scrap the whole thing, because you're going to be miserable. You're never going to wear it. You're going to hate it. It's going to be an eyesore. And her experience, and I'm telling you, like the words could never be truer right there. So I just scrapped the entire thing, which really made me mad, because it's more like, because I've knit plenty of sweaters, but it's like I want to be part of the knit along, right? And I'm really behind, and I've had to restart it, and it just bums me out. But I don't want to make something that I don't like, and I think that there's this thing about, I always use the term stop the bleeding. Like, and that's why I didn't fix the tractor, because what if I fix the tractor clutch, and then what's going to happen is then the transmission goes out, right? So I like a person that will just pull the plug on something. And I'm not saying that that's prudent. I'm just saying that in my experience, where is it that you stop that bleeding, right? Right? So like, and I think I talked about it, though I bought my son the Nissan Pathfinder, and the transmission I didn't buy an extended warranty, which was stupid. Transmission went out, so I had to pay that $5,000, I can't remember, something like that. And then like 2 to 4 weeks later, something like that, the engine went out. I stopped that bleeding, let me tell you. I said, you know what? So I'm into this car now, like, $15,000. I was like, we're done. This paid off. I was so mad. But it taught me a couple things. Make sure you buy something with a warranty. And also, I guess the equivalent of getting rid of the car, like, and I had to give it to, like, what is it? What do they call those things when you give it to just charity? When it's a clunker, But is that it's kind of akin to frogging something, to just like ripping it out and starting all over, is that I am definitely a huck. I will huck it. And so I hucked it. Anyway, that's my story, baby. There was a lot going on in that. There really was. And I have another story to tell you, but I haven't told you the part where I'm lucky today. And you're not going to believe it. You're going to think I'm full of shit. And I'm not full of shit. It's a totally true story. Okay. 1 by 1 rib. And yes, and also, it is twisted. And Andrea says it's never boring. I don't know, Andrea. I got a little going on the dog thing. I might have got like a little. It was crazy. One time you're like, okay, here we go. There's another story in there. I just see it. No, I fostered 91 dogs from shelters in my barn, because our California people might think it's hyper liberal, which it's all the people that come in, but I will tell you this: they're not messing around when they're going to kill your dogs, because you got 72 hours to live and you're going to be put down, and that's just the way it goes here. So there might be bleeding hearts, but not when it comes to animals. So I fostered 91 dogs, and so usually it's a racket, by the way, because so these 501c3s, they apply for a charity for like rescuing dogs. Then the shelters, the high kill shelters here, give these rescues the dogs for free if they haven't been adopted in 3 days if somebody wants the dog. So if a shelter wants the dog, then they'll give it to them for free. And then the person puts online, come on, we need to, raise money for this, $10, come on, nobody wants it, come on, $10. And then they'll adopt the dog out for $350 to somebody. So it's just like a cash cow. And then they try to get dumb people like me to foster them for free until they find it a home. Yeah, I know. Anyway, I stopped doing it because I got really irritated because they would do stuff like, I would say, okay, like a mother with pups or something that's really hard to take care of. They'd be like, okay, well, I just need you to foster her for 7 days. I'd be like, okay. And then 4 months later, yeah. And I'm paying for the food and everything, which was fine. I didn't mind doing it at all. I actually really enjoyed doing it, to be honest with you. Why in the hell am I telling you this? Did somebody take notes? Damn it. I'm telling you this for a reason. It had something to do with, I have no idea. It was fostering dogs. Let me think about this. That's fostering dogs and the hockey shelters. And let me think. I have no idea. I can just tell you this. One time, people knew this because I used to put pictures, especially the people that have been following me for a really long time. And I love all of them so much for this too, because they will totally jump to my defense. I put something about that I bought Nesta. I can't remember what the context was. What it was like that I bought Nesta, this young working dog, because since my dogs are old. And someone goes, I can't believe that, you would buy a dog when you can get a dog for, at the shelter. Oh my God, people eviscerated this lady, like eviscerated her, because it was such bullshit, because I have fostered so many dogs here and kept, if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be alive, quite literally. And I've, paid for them all, which I don't mind. There is a reason I told you that, and I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't to make myself look good, by the way. But I do, so I have acquired, oh, here it is. I adopted a Cocker Spaniel, was fostering him. And he, one from it was Merino Valley or something, one of the high kill shelters. And I went on a trip to my girlfriend's who's a cutting horse trainer. I brought my horse in my horse trailer. And I had my favorite dog at the time in the whole world, Little E. It was a little tiny Yorkshire Terrier, and he had been tube fed when he was a baby. And he was just I love this dog. So he's 10 or almost 11. He's getting a little bit senile. And so I put them in the back of the trailer, it's all bedded with straw, while I was working cattle. And so I come back and let him out, and I put him back there with Pooter too. And Pooter, Pooter, I'm about 1,000% sure. They got in a fight and they ripped his throat out, and they killed him. That was so devastating. I mean, because I looked at it I tried to do something good, and and I'd done plenty good already. I didn't need to get this other dog, and here I made this happen. It was my fault again, because I told you everything is my fault. Whenever anything happens, it's my fault. I mean, something could happen. I could know you really well, and then you trip over something and you break your toe, and I'm I'm sure it's somehow my fault. I don't know why, but I think that's just part of being a responsible person, or maybe just neurotic. Who knows? Anyway, so I was so freaked out and so upset. I was hysterical. And because I went out there, and here my favorite dog in the whole world was dead, laying there dead with blood running out of his neck. And I found a taxidermist there and had him stuffed. And the taxidermist, this is such a weird thing, you guys. So the taxidermist said, I'll do it, but he has to be laying down. What does he think I wanted him to do? Like this little tiny Yorkshire Terrier. I don't know what and I just said yes, because it was a stupid time to have someone do something like that, because you're so traumatized. But I'm a doer, and I just wanted to know my dog was going to be put back together in a way that I could not have to be completely gutted. And so then it was 6 or 8 weeks later, and the guy sent me a picture of the job that he did, and my dog looked dead, literally. And I said to my husband, oh my God, Sean, look, little E looks dead, little E looks dead. And he's like, well, honey, he is dead. And I said, no, but the way he did it, he made him look dead. And so I never picked up my dog. You're like, wow, that was uplifting. Got any more stories? I'll stop it, I promise. Maybe I'll just drink my beer and get really happy. I don't know. You guys are it's a depressing day. Okay. Oh. What the hell are you guys talking? Internal hydrogen peroxide buildup? Wait. Miss Dahlia, you're always on point. You're so good. I love you. You really are. And besides being so supportive, you're so nice. You really are. People say that to me when they say I'm so nice. Actually, I get kind of irritated, because I think I'm not sometimes I feel when someone says you're so nice, they're meaning that maybe I'm I don't know, a victim type personality, or can't say no. Not me, by the way, at all. Okay, just letting everybody know. You guys, what are you talking about? I don't even know. Rescue is big business. Saddlebutt, you and I, booyah on that one. It is big business, and it makes me really irritated. It does. It doesn't make me irritated. Okay, I'm a capitalist. I think everybody should be able to make a living, obviously. But what irritates me is that they're crying poverty for these dogs. These dogs are, come on, help me raise money for this dog. They already have the dog. That's what I don't like. This is what I believe in. I believe in transparency. So if I had already gotten the dog for free from the shelter, which I would have, because I would have been I am a 501c3, so I could have. But anyway, then to tell you there's urgency, you better give me money or this dog's going to be put down. That's what I don't like. Okay, I don't like that. That's totally facetious, and it's patent lying. And then to beg for people to please help me foster this dog, because you can see how it's not going to pencil if they have to put it in a kennel until somebody adopts it at $25 a day or whatever a kennel is. Yeah. See, it's not going to pencil. And then and so I met a couple of them because I used to go all the time to pick up the dogs in San Bernardino, which, by the way, is an hour and a half drive. So I'd go to San Bernardino, Moreno Valley, wherever it was that they needed me to pick up dogs, that I was going to foster. And I would do that. And I can't even tell you how many feral cats, because LA has a huge feral cat population. I have fostered so many feral cats here. And what I did is my barn roof is 20 feet tall. And so the stall tops only go up, let's just say, 10 feet, something like that. So I had wire put in all the way up to the very top so that I could foster in 2 of those stalls, all the way around, so that I could foster cats so that they couldn't get out of my barn climbing up. Because if you put them in there and they get out, they haven't acclimated and it freaks them out, right? So it's better to keep them for a couple of weeks, and then you can let them out. So they're all fixed. So they bring them to me. These places, these rescues would bring these cats to me, and I loved helping the feral cats. I got to be honest with you, I really did. I didn't, and if there were things that I asked, like that they didn't have, leukemia, because I just, even though cats aren't going to live very, and also they couldn't be white because they are very visible when the moonlight's out. So there were things that just for their own benefit, right? So, or a lot of white on them. Those were the things that I asked. But, then I realized that a lot of people really abuse that. So that made me stop. That made me stop doing it. And, my dogs are intact, and I've never bred any of them because I am not a dog breeder, and I don't want to be, because then you have to worry. You're responsible for the next owner of those pups. And I don't know, I don't hang with the trialers, because this is what I do for a living. I don't, I trialing for fun. I can see how that would be something I would want to kind of do, but I don't even have time to, I don't know. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have so much other news, but I'm going to write it down so I don't. Poor Miss Dahlia. Miss Dahlia's like, I can't, I'd love to leave, but I can't, because Natalie's going to lose her place again, and she's going to need me. I'm going to write it down, baby. Okay. So, is this my eyeliner? What is this? Dang it. No, but I will tell you, everywhere there is a shepherd, you will find needles and syringes. It's not from my heroin addiction. Okay, hang on. Okay, I almost purged it. Before I wrote it down. Okay, wait. Okay. So I want to tell you this part. This is a good story. This is a really good story, and it's a true story. You're like, as opposed to your other stories that are lies. No, they're all true. Okay, so this is what happened. So this lady, okay, this is, you guys, this is a good one. So it had happened today. So this lady calls me on the phone, and there's a lot of scams, by the way, like of hay or whatever. So I actually was taken for a load of hay. I've told you that, an entire load. Everybody, so that actually just happened to me again, but I didn't get taken. But the guy's name's Jeff Jorgensen. And he puts he's putting his hay up all over like Hay Exchange. And so I talked to him on the phone. He sounds like a decent guy. I guess he raises Arabs, poor dear. But anyway, and then he's like, well, you need to deposit the money in my account. And I'm like, well, why can't I pay you by PayPal and I'll pay the fees? No, everybody, the way I do business is they have to pay me by bank wire. Well, I would have to say that, it seems like 91% of the people that sell hay, not in California. I said, Jeff, this is the year 2019. Like, PayPal has, you'll have the money in your bank account before I ever get the hay, like 2 weeks before I ever get the hay. It's just that it gives me, he's like, no, I'm selling to someone else. But what a dick. Like, what a prick. Like, seriously? Like, I love people that, like, they want all the protection and you have zero. Just fucking wire it to my account. It's, like, so ridiculous and so irritating, right? So consequently, I didn't get that load of hay. This just happened. Anyhow, so do you think that's so stupid? Like, they want you to assume all the risk, but they don't want to. There is no risk for them. They'll have your money. If you PayPal them the money, they're still going to have your money. It's just that then they actually have to fulfill it or PayPal is going to go in and rip their, but I mean, it almost seems like a fraud. So why am I telling you that story? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm moving on from that story because I'm moving to oh yes, this one. This is, now I remember. So this gal writes me she texts me, she goes, hey, I want to rent your place. I want to rent your Airbnb, but I don't like, could you give me a call? Because I'm just thinking, why don't you just rent my Airbnb then? Because it's obvious. It's on Airbnb, it's on TripAdvisor, it's on booking.com, it's on, I mean, there's a million places, right? Not a million, there's like 4 that you can rent it on, right? So then I go ahead and call her. And she says, hey, she sounds really nice voice. And she says, I just don't like, as much as I can, I don't want to have to put my information in like on these, sites. I don't feel comfortable and I'm trying to avoid it. I know at some point I'm probably going to have to do it, but I prefer not to. She says, but I will pay you through PayPal if you invoice me for the dates. And I say, okay. And it just sounds like, I mean, I understand. I don't want the government knowing my shit either, believe me. Right? So I send her a PayPal invoice for the amount and I block off the dates. She writes me and says, I'll pay you tonight. She doesn't pay me in the night. I'm like, okay, she didn't like how much it was going to cost because I think it was going to be like $375 or $385 for 3 nights. So then, I notice that, and then I do the sale and I notice that the invoice is still sitting in there and I'm like, well, and it unblocked, she didn't pay me when she said she was going to pay me, I unblocked those nights. And it was April 30th, May 1st, and May 2nd, checking out on the 3rd. So Sean and I had been crying and my mascara is all smeared and, I was exhausted and knowing that I was going to have to get ready for this. And then I see a text on my phone that says, hey, we don't know where to park. And I'm thinking, why does no one ever read what I tell them to read when I send them this packet the second they book, right? So I go out there and I don't recognize it, but it was really nice to her. And I said, hey, where are you staying? And she's like, I'm staying in the Hay Barn. I'm like, okay, cool. So I take her in there. I show them the things that they need to know. And I'm like, I come back in the house and then I just was double checking and I look and she's not on any of the sites that I'm on. And I get a little freaked out because I'm like, who is this person? So I walk out there and I go, hey, I said, I'm just curious. So, who are you and where did you book there? She goes, remember you sent me the invoice? You guys, I unblocked that 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago. I don't have anyone coming in tonight, but I don't even know how long she's staying anymore. I don't remember this person. I don't even remember her name. I don't. It was 6 weeks ago. I go, oh my God. I said, oh, okay, okay, let me go check this. I said, don't worry, just let me go check. I'm not sure. Uh-oh. But I did say, uh-oh. So I run in the house and you guys, my face is beet red because I am like in a panic because there's no way, I'm going to tell you right now, if you cannot cancel your bookings through Airbnb, if you cancel, you're like not a superhost for a year. I mean, there's huge penalties and they're going to charge you money. They're going to charge you a fee. I don't know what I'm going to tell this woman because I know that for a fact that I'm booked like all this week and then like part of next week and then the next, it starts like, and I don't remember I can't remember her name either. I can't remember her name and I'm going in my invoices and all of the invoices are paid and I realize this woman has paid. She just didn't pay what she said she was going to. Oh my God, I didn't block these rooms. I looked at my husband and I said, you know what? Worst case scenario, I know that she can stay there tonight. Worst case scenario, if someone's coming in tomorrow, she's going to have to stay in the trailer. And the trailer is awesome, but we still haven't put it all together. The deck's built and everything. So, but I don't know how I'm going to tell this lady this who came in a very nice car, I might add. So anyway, so my heart is beating. I finally find this invoice and I see she's staying for 3 nights and I don't have 3 nights. I know for a fact. I go in there and I look at my husband. I go, oh my God, I don't know. And I'm about ready to send him out to just tell her. And I look and someone had canceled. And those 3 nights, these 3 nights tonight, tomorrow night, and the next night are available. And then the next night it's booked like solid for a while. I was like, there is a God. Like literally, it's so, I can't even tell you. Like it was such a gift. It was such a gift. And then I go out to her and I said, hey, he said, no, I go like as if I just was mentally stupid. And I really realized, and I had blocked everything off for her. I was like, hey, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Everything's totally fine. I'm just like hysterical about my dog. Yeah. You guys, it sounds like that would have to be a lie, but I'm telling you, it's not a lie. It totally just happened. Well, I mean, crazy, huh? It's like, this is like this 3rd time I've been able to skate through something on Airbnb. Just because of like happenstance. It just, well, you're like, well, 3 times, let's call this a cluster of like someone's looking out for you. And then Sutton Kelly says, that's how people are, though. They want you to trust them, but they don't. But the thing that pissed me off is as much business as he must be doing, and he was professing to do. Yeah, and he deals a lot with Hutterites, right? And I think what he does is he leases their land and then buy. But it just pisses me off. It's like I actually sent him a PDF of the PayPal thing, the resolution that I got, giving me my money back from whatever hay company in Poway. Yeah, because it really happened where he took my money. He had no intention of giving me he never returned my call ever again. The smart thing I did on that one, it actually said on them, we will try to recover this money for you and put it back in your account. However, we'll do the best we can. It didn't say it would, but I had used PayPal credit. And you think they're not going to get their money back? Yeah, right. So that's why I got the money all back. I might not have gotten all the money back, but because it was on PayPal credit, I got it all back. Yeah. I mean, it's synchronicity. It's crazy. Hi, Linda. And Linda's like, what are we talking about now? It's still not. Linda, I was talking about knitting. You just weren't here again. It's like, damn it. Off-grid lifestyle. Yes, it's a mind. Say it. It's like, I'm telling you, it's so crazy that happened to me. Okay, so here's something else that happens. So I get, my stories are, it sounds like I have like all this shit going on all the time, which I gotta be honest with you. I think other people have all this shit going on too, but maybe either they're not willing to disclose some of it, right? Because I think, like, I really am willing to pretty much say anything about my, me and what's happened in my life. Because I feel like, if you're here and you're joining me and you've been, here for as long as you've been here with me now for like since December, that you obviously are on my team. Like you're on my side. So I can be vulnerable because you wouldn't be here. You'd just be like, this girl's, nutters and I'm not interested in what she has to say, right? So that's why I feel like I can be vulnerable, because I believe that you guys genuinely like me. And I genuinely like you so I feel free. Like I feel free to say things. If you were going to judge me, you would have already judged me and you would have been done. Right? So I feel like that a lot of people are afraid of what other people will think. And I am afraid. I mean, nobody wants to be disliked and nobody wants people to pass judgment on them. But by me telling my stories and how much shit happens to me, like, it makes other people feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. Like if shit happens, which believe me, there are plenty of people that a lot of things happen to, but they don't really recognize it. I had this friend, Joanne Carollo, I never forget. She was a narcissist. She never had any children, and she was like, her whole life was about showing horses, and shit happened to her all the time, but she never acknowledged that shit was happening to her. Like she would, in her mind, twist it around to where it wasn't happening to, like she did deserve it in some way, but it was some freak of nature or somebody was unfair to her. It was never her, right? But she never had to take responsibility for anything or ever feel bad because she was able to contort it and twist it. It was crazy nuts, the stuff that this could. I'll never forget, one of my favorite things that she ever said, mind you, this is 30 years ago that she said this, and I still remember it to this day. It was at the Snaffle Bit fraternity, and she was a non-pro, and she missed the finals by like 1 point. Okay, now I need you to really follow me on this one. She misses the finals by 1 point. And she says to everybody, instead of, oh my gosh, I can't believe that we missed the finals by 1 point or whatever, well, there's always next year. She says, here's the irony. You know what? If we would have just gotten that 1 point, we would have made the finals. Well, yeah. If you would have gotten another 9 points, you would have won it. But you didn't. Like, it was so 1 + 1 is 2. The irony of her saying, if we just would have been able to get the 1 point, we would have made the finals. It was like, why are you even saying that? I mean, that's like simple math, yes. And there's a lot of other people that if they would have only gotten 5 more points, they would have made the finals. I mean, it was just such a stupid, it was really an ignorant thing to say, but it really was like this, it was like this foreshadowing and like, I guess not even foreshadowing, but backshadowing of the way that she viewed the world, was that somehow she was cheated out of anything that ever happened to her, and she wasn't responsible for anything. Whereas somebody like me, I told you, I feel like I'm responsible for everything. Like you know, and that's a really hard place to be. And it also, there's some bit, I guess someone could argue that that's some bit of narcissism too, which I'm clearly not a narcissist, but where you feel like, you know, but I always feel like, you know, if I would have tried harder, or I would have been a better friend, or if I would have done, you know, if I just would have somehow like been better, you know, that something wouldn't have happened to the, you know, the dog or the friend or the whatever, you know. And I think that, you know, obviously that's clearly not true. You guys are like, why on earth are we doing this? She is a narcissist. She's just sitting there talking about herself. Moving on. Now I'm moving on. So I get this call, and this guy has really broken English, and I try to be, first of all, my hearing's not good anymore. And I cannot understand what he's saying. And I know everybody's experienced this. When you're talking on the phone to somebody and their English is clearly not their first language, you feel bad. You feel bad. And somehow, once again, like you're responsible for not being able to understand what they're saying. So by the third time when you say, I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying. Like by that point, I feel like, I really feel it must be me. I'm so stupid. I can't understand what this man is saying. But I do get out of it sheep, and he wants sheep. And the first thing that I say to people is, are you, and then I realize, you know, always that I try to be gentle about it, because I don't want them to think if they want them for meat that I'm not going to sell them sheep, because I have sheep that are going to be going to meat, right? Not, I won't eat them, but somebody is going to. And I need money. I've got, you know, we've got issues here. We've got the tractor. We've got, you know, we got problems, right? So I just tell him to come to my place. And so I think that he's probably a Muslim, is what I think. He comes here, and they get out of these like really nice cars, and they're decked out with gold chains. This is no shit, you guys. Decked out with gold chains and absolutely immaculately dressed. And they're wearing like jeans, like pressed jeans, like jeans that have been to the dry cleaners, which always bothers me unless you're having them extra heavy starch and you're showing horses. And their nails are manicured with clear nail polish on them perfectly. Gold Rolexes and shoes. This is here the kicker. And shoes that are patent leather shoes like that you would wear with a tuxedo. No shit. No shit. Right? Patent leather. And it's dirty here. So they're immediately like their patent leather black shoes. There's like a magnet, and there's these and they're like 7 guys and 1 flamboyant woman get out of these. And I'm like, and it looks like, and they've got the glasses that are like, they're like the aviator type, but they're extra big, and then they've got the gold bar across the top. They almost look like, this is like punking. Somebody's punking me right now, because nobody pulls up like this in 2 different cars, you know, a BMW 7 Series and like some, you know, like an SUV, like that's, and they're decked out in gold Rolexes and all this other garb that's like not in fashion by our standards, certainly, but it's in, you can tell like it's like some, it's like gangish kind of. So they get out of the, and so then I'm like, I'm sorry that I couldn't understand you. I'm like, what exactly are you looking for? And he's like, I want lamb. We want lamb to eat. And I say, are you Muslim? And he's like, but I'm not thinking they are. I'm thinking maybe they're like from the UAE or something, or I don't know. And he goes, we're Russian. So he's Russian. And it's like they're Orthodox Easter. They're the Russian mafia. I'm not shitting you. They're the total Russian mafia. When I say Russian mafia, how would one know that? Because if you saw that what they were wearing, they're the Russian mafia, because nobody has money like this. I'm telling you. So like, and I just keep looking at their nails. I finally grab one guy's hand, I look at him, I go, look at your nails. I go, look at your nails and look at my nails. And there's not one, his hands are like, there's no, unless he's been cutting people up, like with a saw. But there's no like calluses, like these guys don't work. They don't do anything. I don't know what they do, but whatever it is. And there's, you know, a lot of Russian mafia people. Anyway, so he says, I want 100 pounds. So I take him to the ones that are like, these ones are probably like 8 months old. So technically they're yearlings, right? He says he wants lamb. Well, lamb is under 18 months, by the way. So a lamb could be like, you know, 200 pounds, right? So I take him, and I find one that's about 120 pounds, pretty, you know, small. It's like a Teeswatt or something that I don't need. It's a ram lamb. And so, and he's under a year. So I show him that one, and I show him one, and I go, okay, what about this one? And I said, this is a good one. This is almost perfect. Because I'm thinking he wants size, this certain size, because I don't know it's Orthodox Easter. I just really think he wants it for a party, and he wants this size. He says, no. I want those ones. And he points over to my babies, to the baby pin. You guys, the baby pin. Okay, just to be clear here, you get roughly 50 to 60% of the weight, of the live weight. So if I sell you a 40-pound lamb, you get wool, skin, bones, and like an appetizer, like 2 barbecue skewers worth of meat. Like, it's stupid, right? It's just stupid. Nobody, not like literally. So so he says, I tell him, no, those are babies. Like, those have just been, like, some of those have just been weaned. Those are like 40-pound lambs. And plus these are my Corriedales. And I had fought so hard to get lambs from Rupert Corriedales. You guys, I fought so hard to get those lambs because he didn't want to ship them. He didn't. I'm paying for shipping, but he doesn't like the idea of them being. He's a veterinarian. He doesn't like them being on. The first time I bought lambs from him, I bought like 5, and he shipped them. And the guy was on the road for like a couple weeks. He had a couple other places to stop, and it really didn't. It didn't sit well with Rupert. And then for me to get, the only reason he sold me lambs 4 years later was because Martin happened to be driving through, and Martin would pick them up for me. So it's, to get those nine lambs from him was, and now my flock is finally up to like, 30 or 35 Corriedales. And so he's pointing at my Corriedales, which of course look, their faces are all fat with this like wool, and they look really round and robust, but they're only like 40. I actually went in the pen, grabbed one by the back of the leg, and I had surgery on this arm 2 years ago on this shoulder. And this is my arm, my elbow that has a metal plate and it pins, and it's 5 inches shorter than the other and very weak and doesn't straighten. I pick up the lamb with one hand. That's how light the lamb is. I said, this lamb? I said, no, I'm not selling you this lamb. And he says to me, but I want that one. And I said, I'm not selling that one. He goes, you tell me how much that lamb is. You tell me how much that lamb is. And I said, I'm not selling you this lamb. I'm not. He goes, we need 2. We need 2. I said, I don't care. I'm not selling you these lambs. And he's like, I don't understand why you're being so difficult. I want those lambs. And I said, because they're babies. Like, you don't understand. They're babies. And these are like, I said, I'm going to be, okay. He doesn't speak very good English. And I need to explain to him, well, I don't need to, but I'm trying not to be rude. Plus, you don't really want to piss off the Russian mafia. So I want to tell him that I need their fleece. That's how I make my money, and I don't sell them until I get the first fleece. I just don't do that, because that's why I bred them in the first place, either for breeding stock or to get their fleeces, right? So I'm going to be losing the fleece, and I don't even feel comfortable. If you're charging, you can't, the lamb's worth like $80 to eat, there's no meat on him, right? And so he says, it's so funny, he bugs me so much. I go, fine, you want him? They're $400 each. $400. Then you think I'll get irritated. I go, I'm just telling you, these are my lambs. I need these lambs. That one over there is $200. If you want that one, it's $200. These ones are $400. That's just the way it is. So, of course, I know they're not going to take it. Well, of course, they don't take it. But then, as I'm walking out, the guy pulls off one of his giant gold chains. And he goes, it's 18 karat gold. See, it's right here. And he shows me the 18 karat gold. You take this. You give me those lambs. You give me those lambs. And I said, why would I want that one? You could just give me $800 right now, because I don't need a gold chain. But it's worth so much more. I said, I don't care. If you want the lamb, you got to give me $800. So anyway, he says, you have any friends? You have any friends? And I said, yeah. So then, this is bringing it full circle, baby. Remember I told you Jennifer is very caustic, the one that raised Lacey? And she smokes, and she takes no, she's brutal. The shit that comes out of her mouth sometimes, I'm just like, oh my God. Like I told you, when she's like training her people, she's training her students, and she's like, your other left. She's just like mean, right? And they're paying her, right? But she can be brutal. So anyway, I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. Her name's Jennifer. Because I know Jennifer's going to look like her. She's going to like literally hit the roof, right? When he says that he wants a baby, 2 babies, right? So I called Jennifer. I go, hey, Jennifer, there's some Russian guys here, and they want to buy some lambs. And she's going, I don't have any lambs. They're too young. Right? I go, yeah, I know, but, maybe you should talk to him anyway. So I hand the phone over to the guy, and he's talking to her, and then I see him, he's just nodding his head, and he's going, oh, so you have, and when he gets done, he's like, okay, thank you. And so he hands me the phone, he goes, you have chicken? You have turkey? So I was like, okay, you're picking the wrong time of the year for these, because, like, the chicken, no. None of that. Like, turkeys will not be ready. Got little poults, but we don't have anything. It's not going to be ready for like 6 or 8 months. He's like, well, here's my number. So I called Jennifer afterwards, and I go, hey, Jennifer, so what happened? And she goes, that asshole, he wanted lamb. I go, yeah, I know, he wanted babies. She goes, my babies they're tiny. She goes, so I said, fine, you want them? They're $500 each. I go, that is so funny, because I told him $400 each. She said, yeah, and then I told him, tried to like get him on the scent of like one of my yearlings, that was like exactly the perfect weight, and he didn't want it. I was like, yeah, well, then he walked out here, my place with no lambs, and he said, I really don't know any I don't know any shepherd worth their weight that would ever sell somebody babies. I mean, that's freaking, you guys. It's like selling. It would be like, okay. The equivalent to me would be like taking a 3-week-old kitten and giving it to someone because they want a 3-week-old kitten to bottle feed. It's like there's something about it that's just so distasteful. Like slaughtering a baby that has no meat on it that you're claiming to be for food. Like, for celebration and for like, I'm not into it. We're not into it. So that was the end of Andre. And he went with his gold chains, by the way, and his gold Rolexes. Yeah. And the girl hated, oh my God. The other part is that, okay, Nesta runs up, like, so they come, and Nesta is running because she's neurotic. She wants to work. She sees that I'm over by this one paddock. So she runs over, and she runs by this girl, and this girl screams and, like, throws her hands up in the air like a wild lion got near her. And I said, okay, you know what? Like, you need to, like, respect the dog, because without the dogs, you get nothing. That's just the way it goes. Yeah, respect my dogs. I don't like it when people don't respect my dogs. And they act like they're vermin. I really do. It does bother me tremendously. Oh! Jennifer's hardcore. Teresa. I just spit all over my computer screen. Jennifer is hardcore. And the Russian mob. Yikes. They could be back. No, they were definitely. You guys, I'm not shitting you. If you would see every one of their nails, unbelievable. I'll tell you one thing, though. I just wanted to tell them, by the way, it's really not very masculine to wear the polish. You need to have them buffed. Because, like, I bite my nails, and if I ever have a manicure, which is like a once every 5-year event, that's not a manicure with my teeth, I have them buffed with a buffer. Because the polish is just not, it looks stupid, I think, on nubbins and on men's hands. I think it's stupid. I just do. That's my own bias. I just think it's dumb. Oh, Jeff has amazing sheep. Yes, he does. And holy shit, it sounds like a horror movie. Yikes. It was actually a little bit. Narcissistic people suck. She was married to one for 6 years. Oh my God. Narcissistic sheeple. And then Jane Campbell says that she's known many narcissists in Harvard class. I think, you know what? It's a good thing you both noticed them, because a lot of people don't. And they become entwined, and that is a recipe for disaster. You cannot have a healthy relationship with a narcissist. It's not possible. And Allison Blair's going to Maryland Sheep and Wool. What's this message? Ready for I wish I was going, kind of, not really, maybe. Listening sad stories, happy stories. We all have a friend bond here. Thank you, we do, and I truly feel that way. Okay, now I'm gonna be brought down. Okay, I did stand my ground. Okay, Jennifer is very hardcore, amazing stories. You can want it for blood. Ooh. Yeah, but couldn't you just make blood? This sounds terrible. Couldn't you just let blood from something? Like, I would let them do that. I wouldn't. But, yeah, no, you can just come here and bleed my sheep. You're so stupid. No, I wouldn't. But, I mean, I don't know. Is there one that like a ram or something that I don't like, that I'd be like, yeah, go ahead? No, I wouldn't. And Linda's saying, I can't stop laughing. How old would a Dorset weigh to yield 40 pounds? How old would a Dorset be to yield 40 pounds of meat? Gosh, I think Dorsets are a meat breed, so they could get 40 pounds pretty fast. Like 40 pounds, I think, would be like, I don't know, could it be like 3 or 4 weeks? But mine aren't meat sheep. Corriedale arguably is a dual purpose, but these ones are from Rupert, and they're such fleece making machines that they may in another area, but mine, there's just, they're like, I want to say, my oldest ones are like 3 months old, and they're still a little bit light. I mean, they're not, I'm just going to say, I'm sorry, Jennifer has Dorpers, which are meat sheep, a hair meat sheep. So, and they're really, their rate of gain is pretty good, but she doesn't feed them up. So she puts them on a grass, like she just plants like a grass, and then turns them loose. I feed mine alfalfa, and they get corn, and they get a grain, a lamb grain with a coccidiostat in it, and so mine are really well fed, but they're just not super the rate of gain. I don't even pay attention to the rate of gain, because it's going to be so disappointing you'd want to put a bullet in their head. And then if somebody said, what's your animal's rate of gain, I'd have to tell them, and it would be something pathetic, right? It would be really bad, because that's not why we grow them. But a Dorset would grow much more quickly than a Wensleydale Teeswater, or one of my Corriedales. Not a meat Corriedale, because let's just be clear that, and I've said this before, but for anybody that hasn't heard it, similarly to dog dogs, there is the bench breed and then the trial dog. So if you have a trial dog that's supposed to go in the field, like if I got, let's say, an English setter, for example, that was a trial dog, it would look totally different than an English setter that was a bench breed, so that it was to be shown for confirmation. Same thing with horses. If you have a halter horse, quarter horse is an American quarter horse is a halter horse, and then if you have some American quarter horse that's a reined cow horse, totally they look completely different, and the athleticism of them is completely different. One is to look at and is just pretty, and then one is could be completely ugly with a sway back and a ewe-neck, and it could be an amazing cow horse. So it's kind of the same thing. There's Corriedales that are bred primarily for meat, and their fleece is nothing like the Corriedales that are bred primarily for wool. Okay, let me see this. Let me see. Oh, and then a local farm is offering $300 for the meat of a Dorset Scottish blackface. I don't want to. Yeah, Scottish blackface are they're primitive. That is funny, Saddlebutt. Maybe that's true that they want the blood, because they didn't really say they wanted to eat it, but what else are you going to want it for, right? Except for that. Ike's Equines. Ike's here. He wants me to shout out the channel. Ike's Equines. Do it. So there you go. I did it. And then Teresa is saying that spinning Jeff's fleece is incredible. If you get your hands on it, try it. It's spectacular. Right. And well, now I have his animals. So it's a learning curve to figure out how he lives in they're suited better for my climate, quite frankly, but his fleeces are just spectacular. Yeah. I mean, they are, but good luck getting them, because, there's a long wait. I mean, they really are something. They're very nice people too, by the way. But yeah, so the Russian mafia, it's quite nutter, but oh, did you see? So I know that I talk about my Muslims. I always say my Muslims all the time, right? My family that I love so much. The Imam of 7 mosques, somebody tried to burn down his mosque in Escondido. In Escondido. In Poway, that's right next to it, was the one the synagogue where they shot. So the same kid shot the synagogue. Is that nutters and horrible? It's horrible. It's right here. It's like 20 minutes from me. Yeah, that nut, 19-year-old kid. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being the parents of that child? Oh my God. I mean, really, it's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. And Jane Campbell said, scoured my first fleece this week. Gag. I'm pretty sure I got the butt fleece. Okay, that sucks. Well, you should buy fleece from me. She's like, I did. No, because my fleeces don't suck. And they're not, well, I'm saying that your fleece sucks, but I'm just saying that, I'll tell you, not everybody skirts the same, and not everybody, when I sell it by the pound, and then I, skirt everything out that's, as best as I can, really, that, does not look the same. So, I remove anything. It has to all be representative of the best parts of the fleece. And then people don't buy the whole fleece. They only buy, a pound. A pound is the minimum. And I'm going to have I just ordered, you guys, I ordered from Europe, probably, I want to say it was like about $3,000 worth of yarn and like a top, top. So it's not really commercial. It is commercial, quote unquote, but it's not like from China. It's, it's from the UK and Europe. And so I'm going to have a sale, because I have to try and recoup. It's like, basically, I've got to make enough money to buy another dog, and I have to be able to, the tractor too, because the tractor, I didn't want to, I had to, I have to have it shipped here. So I got a really good deal on it, though. I mean, as far as a deal, I don't know, it still was like $28,000, but, which, and it has a little bit of, it only has, I want to see, was it 150 hours or something, 100 hours? Might be less. Our tractor, 20 years old, that we sold, had only 419 hours on. I'm like, how is that possible? But then I was thinking about, really, it's not, they were hard hours though, man. We did not take, well, I'm not blaming myself for this, because I wasn't responsible for it. But now when I buy things, I'm going to make sure that they're taken care of. I will tell you that. Especially this tractor is much bigger, and which makes me worried I'm not going to be able to get in the paddocks. But it's going to be able to lift 2 of the large bales, those large, the 1,500-pound bales. And I'm going to have to buy some hay spears, though. It's so funny because, you know, here as in California, we don't typically need hay spears because most of our bales are small bales, the small 100-pound bales, 70 to 100 pounds. But I even with my stuff that I used to buy, my compressed hay, I needed those. I needed the spears. So I'm getting the spears, and I'm going to be totally set up for. I'm going to be totally set up. It's going to be so much better, you guys, than having to take the forklift or have my neighbor with the forklift offload him. It takes like 3 or 4 hours. It's that one night that my husband did it. He didn't sleep all night. He works graveyard, so he literally hadn't slept because by the time he was done offloading that hay, it was 11:30 at night, and he has to go to work at 11:30. I really felt it didn't stop him from having sex with me the next day, but that's because he's an expert. He's an expert at no sleep and getting frisky. You're like, shut up! Our ears are bleeding. Okay, hi Christine. Thank you so much. She says my fleece is amazing. I'm more than happy to do it, my friend. I am more than happy to do it. So this is what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking for if you guys have friends that are in the UK. Well, I have a story. I have one last story that I'm going to tell you. This is my one last story. So since you guys know my whole life, right, and that I had the really bad thing with my husband and the money last year, and that I didn't know we were broke, and I hadn't been saving any money because I thought he had a lot of money. So that was the synopsis of what happened. So there's this guy named Kevin Evans, and he's a dog trainer in the UK. And his dogs always look amazing when you see, he has his own YouTube channel where he puts the dogs up that he trains. That's all he does is train dogs. And they're amazing looking. I'm not kidding you. So there was this one dog I wanted so bad, and I kept writing him, and he would not write me back. And I had the money. I wanted the dog. So I finally said, hey, listen, you guys are gonna laugh at this one. I said, listen, I've written you a couple times and you aren't responding to me. I said, but I want you to know I am American, but I'm not crazy, and I actually really want this dog, and I have the cash. And I did have the cash. And so he writes me back. And I said, thank you so much. I said, and then I talked to him on the phone. I said, I just want you to know, I know that, a lot of people are looky-loos. I'm not a looky-loo. I actually need another dog. And I said, and I really want, and he says, well, the dog's supposed to be in a sale next week. He said, but, the guy, I talked to the guy, and the guy says he'll take the dog out of the sale if you want it now. And I said, and so I write him, and I said, yes, I want the dog. It was the next day I found out that we had no money, and that our electricity was going to be turned off on Monday, and that we were hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that I had no idea, right? So here I just got done telling this guy that I'm taking this dog, and the dog was it was like $4,500 US, $5,000 US. And I am a person who is a freaking woman of my word. Like, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I will go to the end of the earth to do it. When I was trying to figure out how can I still buy this dog and fix these problems that I had, but there was no way. Our electricity was going to, I just saw my whole life flash before my eyes, and here I've just convinced this guy. This is not, I'm not shitting you, this story. This is absolutely true. And he would absolutely, at 1,000%, if you ever talk to him, or if you know this Kevin Evans from the UK, he would say that this is exactly how this story happened. So I felt so bad that I'm going to have to write this guy and not only tell him my shit, my life shit, after I've told him I'm not crazy and convinced him to even take my call. I'm now going to tell him I can't have the dog after I've said, yeah, take the dog out of the cell, which they hadn't yet, by the way. They hadn't. I just told him the night before. But I wire him. I already had his bank wire information. I wired him 500 pounds, not $500, 500 pounds. And I said, I'm giving you this money, and I'm gonna call you, and I'm gonna tell you what happened. So I gave him the money for free, and I called him, and I said, Kevin, I know you think I'm insane. I said, but this is what happened, and I just told him the story. I had to tell this guy who I said, I'm sure he thought, he had to believe me, because what person would give you 500 pounds, which is roughly $750 at the time, $750 for free? And I said, and hopefully, when I get this ironed out, I'll be able to buy a dog from you. And so obviously that time might be, but it's so horrible, because I'm sure I want to buy another dog from the UK, because or Scotland, Ireland, because I love the dogs from the UK. I think that they're really hard workers, and a lot, they're not just trial dogs. Like most, everybody has sheep, and if they're not going to work, and I need a working dog, right? I need a dog who works on a farm, who's been around babies, who knows not to hit the babies, and who's just really, really, really good. Especially now that I don't have Lacey and Lad. So, but I'm so terrified that somebody's going to check, that someone's going to go, oh yeah, this American's going to buy this dog from me. And then he's like, oh yeah, who? And they're like, Natalie Redding is like, oh yeah, well, Natalie Redding. Damn. But I did give him $750. God, you guys. That's my story. It's so bad. I still am really embarrassed about it. It's horrible. Okay. Were the guys at least hot? No, by the way. Oh, off the grid lifestyle stuff. You're embarrassing me. Especially with my Cruella de Vil hair. You guys, I hit myself in the head so hard today with a piece of wire. Like, I bent forward and there was a piece of wire, like, that's the 2x4 mesh sticking out, and it freaking impaled me. And I thought my whole head was cut and, like, there was a giant gash. And I kept going like this because I knew that. And I screamed like somebody had died. And, of course, it was like, you know, if a bear shits in the woods, does it really? No. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it, no. Whatever that saying is, that's what I was like. So am I really hurt if nobody's around to hear it? Yes, I definitely am hurt. And then I came into my husband and I was like, Sean, I hurt myself like a big baby. You know, because head wounds, they really hurt. And I was like, I know that there's probably a bunch of hair missing. He's like, I see nothing. Like, I was like, are you sure you're looking in the right place? And he's like, I'm looking in exactly where you're pointing. I'm like, I know. It's like there's something wrong with it. And like, I've got a big gash. And he's like, there's nothing. I was like, wow. So not only did I do good with the Airbnb in the hay barn, but I also did okay with gashing my head in and it not being a gash. Okay, that's it, you guys. So if anybody wants, let me see, because I'm going to, let's see. You guys, I think my turkey's going to be here tomorrow. My turkeys and all my things are going to be here tomorrow. In Fresno, which means I'm doing this all for my Muslim friends. To go pick up these, they don't even know. They don't even know, because I tried to explain the whole thing when I'm explaining to somebody who doesn't speak English. You know, they speak English well, but the concept of Newcastle's like, I kept telling them Airbnb, like, because we have bathrooms that have the door, you can go in the bathroom, but I tell them you can't use the bathroom because for Airbnb. And finally one today, the guy's like, what's Airbnb? So they don't, you know, there's just some things that they don't, I don't know. I don't know. Can I give people top, since I seem to have a lot of it? That I died. Okay. I have some nylon. I just sent out Susan Kovas's stuff today. You're like, wow, it took you long enough. Yes, it did. I apologize, but it is gone. I promise. Okay, so I have to feed my animals. That's why I'm like, no, plus I've talked your little ears off. So well, I'll give you top. So 4 ounces of top. So that you're like, wow, that's really a step down from the yarn. Why, you guys, I don't have any yarn right now. I mean, I have yarn, but I haven't dyed any. But then if I tell you dyed yarn, then I'm going to have to dye some, and then it's going to put pressure on. Anyway, that's it. So if you want it, then you need to say yes, 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 or just yes. One yes, and then I'll do the thing that I do. Okay, you guys? I put that on my tooth. It's so good. Because don't you want lipstick on your teeth? Yes, of course you do. Especially when it's long wearing. I hate when the dogs bark. It's really, they probably hate when I talk. Okay, so starting with, okay, yes. Okay, wait. Yes, okay, good. Because I'm like, okay, 1. Okay, so Linda Lightcap says yes. Okay, we're going to start with her. And then Linda says, dang, that would be embarrassing. Yes, it was embarrassing, and it still is embarrassing, and that was a year and 2 months ago. Because I found out my tragedy in February, like 18th or 19th. Okay, good. It's all coming through. I do have cashmere. But this is not. This is like, what is it? It's nylon, and it would be great for socks. It's nylon and Polworth, I'm pretty sure. Nylon and Polworth. And it's bright, and it's not bright like child bright. Like, it's really nice. It's just a nice color combination. Anyway, you guys, so I need people to spread the word when I start getting ready for the sale. I'm going to start putting stuff up, which I told this to I love Kristen so much. I really do. She's so good. All the stuff that she does, like posting the events and stuff, I don't tell her any of that. She just does it. Like, I'm telling you, I am her, she love her so much. And she doesn't need the job. Her husband and her have a commercial concrete business. She does it because she apparently likes me. Which I'm not sure why anymore, because she's just so on top of things. She's really on top of things. Okay, I'm just reading yes, 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 yes. Hi, Mandy. Chatting for the first time. Wanted to know that these live chats are great. Thank you, Mandy. Makes me feel so good, because I I do say to my husband sometimes, oh my God, I feel bad because I have nothing to say. He's like, Natalie, they're your friends now. It's okay. Sometimes people are boring. He doesn't say that. He says, well, I personally, Natalie, think you're hot. And I say, and honey, you're blind and deaf. He's like, what? No, I'm not. Wait, where are you? He actually has a great sense of humor. I do love him. God dang, I love my husband. I'll tell you, in that interim where I was trying to punish my husband and make him feel terrible and etc. There's nobody that there. I'll tell you, I feel sorry for people that are single and have to date, because everybody seems great when you first meet them, don't they? And then you're like, aha! Now I see why you're single, because you actually are a chump. Okay, I'm still, oh, thank you. Okay, so Mandy A, are you in the drawing for the top, the dyed top, the 4 ounces of dyed top? And I might actually throw other top in there that I dyed, and I might throw some other stuff because I feel really chintzy giving only 4 ounces. So I have some other stuff that's really nice. So maybe I'll give you more, which I will. Which I say maybe means yes. Maybe normally means no. When my kids say something and I say maybe, it means no. But to you, it means yes. Okay, so Mandy A, do I put you in it? Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is if I see your name more than once, the first time I personally see it, I'll only count it then. And the way I want you guys to, if you go back and try and recreate the scene of the crime and you're like, okay, she said 47. Oh my God, I'm 47, but she picked someone else for 47. Just know that that's all part of it, because in a short span of time, I have to hurry up and count down. And so, and I try to if I see someone's name more than once, I just count it once. So I may make a mistake, but that's just part of the serendipity of it all. Okay, I'm going to go with, hang on, let me just count really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay. I'm going to do one. I mean, let me just put in, hang on. I've got to do my, the generator, random number generator. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I did 1 to 40. Okay. And that was 37. That's, I think, too many. 1, 2. Okay. 12. So I'm going to do what I think is 12. Okay, and it starts with Linda. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mary Wildflower. Mary Wildflower. So that's who it is. Mary Wildflower. So Mary Wildflower, I need your address and your, I'm sorry, I was counting back to make sure that I didn't F up, and I don't think I did. I think I did it right. So I need you to send it to me to, I think I just say info@woolshampoo.com because it's like an easy one. Or you can hit me on Facebook. And I mean, not literally hit me. I want to send a nasty letter to that guy. Just irritates me. The one about the hay where he's just like, I want you to take all the risk and now I've sold it to someone else. What a dick. Just what a dick. I just hate dicks. I don't understand why every single person that I will call about hay is like, well, how are you going to get the money to me? As if honestly, as if there's no other way except a carrier pigeon. It's just so stupid. Well, there's the Venmo and there's PayPal and there's there's even an escrow thing where I pay $80 and then they release the money when the stuff is on the truck. It's that simple. I'm not trying to quality control it. I just want to make sure the shit makes it on the truck. Assholes. Anyway, okay, you guys, I love you so much, and I'm so happy that you joined me tonight. And I promise I'm going to send that stuff out as long as I get your address, my dear. And I will see you next week. And hopefully I'll have something interesting, because I have this community building stuff because I think our knit along, is it done tomorrow? I'm so behind, you guys. I'm such a failure. Oh my God. But I love you guys anyway. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I will see you next week. Next Tuesday. Be here, same time.